intro. We're
I'm going
talking.
to talk the whole time you say don't talk.
Don't talk.
Are we live? I'm talking.
It's Margarita Monday.
Oh, I should have made a margarita.
And we're live with a bunch of guys that babble about RC. And that's really what the show is. We just babble. We really don't have topics. We just talk about RC. And we see who can grow the worst beard of their lives. I got the patchy panda. Jeff has the caveman. Pete, can't really see what's going on there. His lighting's bad. It looks like a little goatee.
Yeah, it's not good.
So we got a good show today. We're going to give away some more free stuff. I'll share that in a minute. I don't want to do any spoilers, but it's a massive release.
Yes, it is. Yeah, we're gonna talk about this. Everyone's excited.
If you play Powerball, this will eclipse every prize you've ever dreamed of.
Yeah,
and it'll be awesome.
Yeah,
and then we also have
best prizes. Always are the ones that can fit in an envelope.
Right. Like McMillions. McMillions, the guy that scammed everything, just put him in those little
gumball machine capsules.
Gumball machine thing. Yeah, I forgot what those things are called. Another thing happening today. First, no one's ever done this before. Special guest. Yeah, we just made that up. That's an entirely new concept. And we're going to do a little guess game here. I'm not on the comments because I got to do it so you guys can watch for me. We're going to see if you can guess who our special guest is, because I'm going to use this amazing technology. I got home early, put on a bidet so I can squirt my butt and clean it. But I did upload some low-res pictures. True story. That's a true story.
Good, even better. Right.
To see if somebody can guess who our special guest is. And I'll take random comments right now if anybody's commenting. Their comments.
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't think anyone's here. I think we're just the three of us.
Just people were watching. All right, so I'm going to put a picture up.
But give a hint.
Let's see the new element, John Schultz. So other comments. So the hint will be, this is an old person that used to race.
An old person. That's a descriptor.
They're old now.
Yeah, right.
They may, Joe Pesci. Close.
He once knocked his teeth out in a bounce house as an adult.
He did knock his teeth out in a bounce. I was there. He knocked the tooth out. Pretty strong in boxing. Cody King, I think. It's not Joe Pesci.
We're not going to wait for people to guess. So you didn't even put a picture up.
I know. He said he wanted to try to guess first.
What does that even mean? There's like.
I want to see how long Scott will wait before we. Oh, I gave a hint.
What an idiot!
How did we get Joe Pesci if we wanted him? Like,
yeah.
How far has he fallen that he's going to be on the show?
All right. So the person that's going to be a live guest is also in here.
Yeah, not the guy eating the bug.
Oh, you don't know that. I don't even know who that is.
Right. I'm giving Eric Smart.
That's who ate the bug?
No, Eric made a comment.
Oh, Eric, you probably didn't eat the bug. Second picture. Pretty easy. One of those three guys. Now he looks like this.
Now he looks like this.
The live comments. What happened?
You got the hilarious joke beard so people can recognize you.
Yeah.
You know, it's that your favorite celebrity crush, right? And you haven't seen him for 20 years, and you're like, what happened?
You have a very different look than you used to, Scott.
It's true. And my teeth are way straighter and nicer than they've ever been.
It only took Scott. Scott, how old are you?
I'm 44.
44 years of beard growth. That's what we're looking at right now.
It's well, it's a lot longer than what it is, but it's 8 months, I think, 7 months.
I feel I started this a bit in 2013 at RCX with you, Scott, when you took that picture of me when we were at whatever the Walmart or whatever.
The grocery store.
Wherever we were. I don't remember where we were, but
you were a homeless guy sitting in the grocery store on a summer barbecue display.
Yeah, and you took a beautiful picture of me. There's my dogs, everyone.
That's not my dog.
Hey, no bark, girls.
So I have the no bark banner always ready.
Yeah, good. That's about as effective for them to read it as me to say it.
Scott's going to join us today for some of the babble. We're also going to talk to him about what this says is where is he now, and more importantly to some might be, who is he?
I think
Who
a
are
lot
you?
of people know who Scott is.
Who knows? Scott's been, we were all old. Nobody knows what the hell anybody. First
Actually,
of all,
it's
I
true.
don't
A lot
think
of these
anybody
new
would
school
recognize
guys.
Scott.
That's true. That's true. Big player, Scott.
The last time I raced was like when I first got to Horizon, and I went out to the track, and it was gas champs or something like that, and I did terrible driving a low C car. It was pathetic, and a guy went up to the guy that beat me and said, "You just beat Scott Hughes." He's like, "Who's Scott Hughes?"
Yeah.
So that's
The humbling.
that's 8 years ago. So just
That'll be like the
old
time when Dum Dagani got mad at me because when you came back to racing and smoked everybody with the old Mugen, he got mad because I said Scott just whooped everybody's ass with the 3-year-old car.
Oh yeah,
And
I
he
remember
used to
that.
post pictures on his trailer while he probably did something weird to himself. I don't know, but that started his super hatred for me. Was that when he heard me say that Scott just whooped everybody with an old car. So if nobody knows, Scott was a very high-profile sponsored driver when he was like 6 or 7. When did you start racing?
13.
13.
Yeah.
So in that one of those pictures that looked like somebody's little kid, that was actually Scott when he was super pro racing everybody. Started 13 and then went from sponsor driver to factory rep for Proline. And then where the heck did you go? Yeah, show me more nips.
Yeah. Well, I went to Pearl. I mean, I still got that. That's OG right there. I was at Proline for 11 years, and then I'm going to sound like a circus here, but went to Axial for a couple of years, and then landed at Horizon, and I was there for 5 years. And then we decided just to make a life change and came up to Oregon from Southern California. My wife's family's from here, and now I'm at Kelly Lunsford, who's been a friend of mine. Actually, was my second sponsor ever in RC when I wasn't even 14 yet. And I've been friends with him ever since. And he always said, "Hey, if you need a job and you're moving up here, let me know." So here I am.
You just make turnbuckles now? Is that the job?
I heard 3 people.
What
was that?
Pete said, "What is Lunsford for the people who don't remember or know?"
Yeah, so Lunsford is a titanium. We do a lot of titanium product for radio control cars, screws. We're most known for turnbuckles, and I think what's really unique about Lunsford, and there's maybe only one other company that can say this that I know of. We make everything in the U.S. Our raw product comes from the U.S. Our manufacturing is right here in Albany, Oregon, and it's been that way. Same suppliers and everything for over 30 years. So, so we make anything from Traxxas products to RC10, Team Associated, Low C, TLR, you name it, and Arma. Doing a lot of Arma right now, and so. Yeah,
even some vintage stuff. You guys make vintage stuff too, which
we still make the original 440 thread with the aluminum nut that threaded on, and we used a green. I think we use a green Loctite, maybe red. I'm not sure. And we still make those turnbuckles today for retro stuff. Yeah,
awesome.
So it's cool. Kelly and Barb have done a great job. Keeping true to what the spirit of the company was and what they wanted. So it's good to be at a little mom and pop. There's 4 of us, 3.5. I'm a half a person.
Scott, do you watch Portlandia now that you live in that area?
I have never watched Portlandia.
You probably should watch it because I was going to tell everybody you own a vintage coffee grinder shop now, and that's all you repair.
there's a lot. I think there's more coffee shops per capita in Oregon than any other place in the U.S. from what I've heard.
Allegedly.
Does
And
Lunsford do any-
maybe strip
Okay.
clubs.
Your mic is terrible, Pete.
Yeah, it's really tough to hear you.
Say what you said again.
I'm plugged in. I was asking if Lunsford does anything outside of RC, aerospace or any stuff like that.
Oh, right, yeah.
We do. We do some. We're not. We're pretty certain we do some aerospace stuff, but it's through somebody else. We don't have any direct stuff, but
Top secret.
What's that?
Top
Top
secret.
secret.
Yeah, top secret. No, really, we don't have any direct contracts with anybody like that, but we do. We're pretty certain we're in some higher end stuff. We do a lot of drone stuff. We've done custom stuff for knife, really high end knives, really high end flashlights, like $350 flashlights. Didn't even know those existed. They're only 5 or 6 inches long. So yeah, so we do some stuff outside the industry. But the core is RC. Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm still kind of probably amazed that that company can exist still just making those core products. To me, I mean, it was kind of surprising when I heard you went there.
I'm not surprised.
Not to try to be an insult, but like it's just weird
No.
that companies that have come and gone that, and I'll use maybe
The race kits don't come with titanium yet, or maybe they never will. If that happens, I would imagine the titanium companies will have problems.
factory team came with titanium, right?
A few cars do, but still, the overwhelming number of race cars still come with steel. Definitely in the screws, but even often in the turnbuckles. So it's still a good aftermarket. Whereas this industry has changed a lot because 20 years ago you'd buy a car for $300 and then buy $500 in upgrades to make it good. Now you buy a car for $800 and it's ready to go. So a lot of aftermarket companies were hurt by that, I would imagine. But titanium still seems to be. Scott can probably speak more to this, but titanium still seems to be one of the ones that is not included. So it's still a very viable business.
Well,
Yeah,
back in the day, I wouldn't even build a kit until I had Lunsford turnbuckles for, because one, they're the best turnbuckles, but also the kit turnbuckles were virtually unusable. They were just terrible.
Often, yeah.
A lot of times you couldn't even adjust them. The flats were like this wide and just terrible to try to tool on.
Yeah.
Which would be, I don't know if we discussed the worst thing to build in a kit before, but
Turnbuckles.
I'll sign up for turnbuckles, number one.
Yeah.
Scott's a
That
pro.
was
Yeah, Scott loves turnbuckles now, but
I don't
for the
build many.
Facebook question we had
No, of
about what's
course
the word.
say again, Bad
For the
Mike.
I can just leave.
No, we want you here. We just want to hear you.
We did a Facebook question about what would be the worst position to have on the ready to run assembly line, and I had a picture of turnbuckles as the thumbnail because it would be turnbuckle.
Yeah, when you go overseas and you realize how they do them, it's not that big a deal.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they have a jig where
Yeah, they just burp, pneumatic, done.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, not many of us have that on our workbench, but I guess you'd be like pimp with that. Do you know the one company that invented turnbuckles built in the kit? How they did it?
Probably molded the plastic right around the metal.
Schumacher was the only like high end kit that came with their turnbuckles pre-built, and I think that's what they did. They kind of heated them up and jammed them in there or something.
Sure.
Yeah, they had a rubber band front end, but the badass turnbuckles.
Nice cat reference.
Yeah, hey, still there. I think they still have a car with a rubber band.
35 years ago, but
Yeah.
They had it up to the Cat 2000, I think, the four-wheel drive car. I remember
It wasn't that long ago. They still used a rubber band. I don't know what you're talking
really,
about.
I thought it was
O-rings. They got
They
more
were
fancy.
O-rings, not rubber bands.
There were rubber bands.
An
in the
O-ring
beginning.
is just a fancy rubber band.
It's a bigger one, yeah.
But how are they? Derek, you spoke to how's Lunsford still around? And you think of car companies that are still around. I mean, molds take a lot of money. A lot of development, just a ton of resources to develop a car. I'm like, man, how's Schumacher still around?
Well, first of all, they used the same parts for about 30 years. Like a lot of even the newer stuff was like the same part. So, that development, I'm not knocking Schumacher because their touring car was probably one of the best in the early days. 4-wheel drive, obviously, they're somewhat legendary. And apparently they make tires for when you race on a mini golf course or something. But, you know, some would say, how are we still here too? So I guess it's all relative.
Well, we're not really still here. We got 13 guys watching the 4 of us yap about frickin' turnbuckles.
And they're certainly much bigger in Europe. I mean, Mardave is still in business.
Who?
Mardave.
Can someone say the question? Who the hell is that? Who's that? Mardave?
Yeah.
I've never heard of them.
Yeah, it's
is that a hobby shop? Is that a shop or a manufacturer?
It's a manufacturer.
Oh,
I believe it's limited. I don't want to sidetrack everything with a Mardave. Yeah, Scott, in the teaser photos, who was the guy who ate the bug? Was it JD something? I can't remember.
Yeah, JD Beckwith.
Beckwith, that's right.
And it was $1,000 cash.
I thought it was even more. Yeah, I remember that story. Car Action did that story.
I mean, and he put it in, and the thing's so big it latched onto his cheek on the inside of his cheeks. So he pulled it back out, smashed it, and just Pac-Man that thing. And then it was probably, I don't know, 2 minutes later, he's out hacking it up in the field.
Yeah, of course.
But he got it down. I mean, there it is.
Yeah, Japanese beetle, wasn't it? Isn't that what it was?
Yeah, so on the left, if you're looking at the screen, that's Hodap. And then that's me with the glasses. Still got the glasses. And then that, I think he was there. I think that's Chris Rosellis.
I can't tell who that is. It almost looked like a weird, bizarro Charlie Schwenka in the background, but
right. But that
he would have been 2 in that picture.
Yeah, I think
Schwenka's our age, isn't he?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he's our age.
He's older than 0.
That's good. That's good.
Less than 100.
We narrowed that down.
Scott, so for people that are going to watch this and think about, because people still want to be sponsored the rest of their life, and how is sponsorship being a full ride sponsorship driver? Is it everything it's cracked up to be?
I would say for me, it was awesome. I mean, I think at the times were a little different. I can't speak to the guys exactly today, but I think when you think about the pioneers of RC, many of them were still around when I started and through my prime, Gene Hustings, Mike Reedy, even senior. I mean, those seniors still around physically and those guys, but he's not active in the hobby anymore. And so to me, that was just a different time. I mean, we would go to dinner afterwards and celebrate with 25 people, and Gene would just, yep, we're paying the bill, Yeah. And so,
so you did it for free dinners?
No, but for me,
Outback for life.
I enjoyed myself too. I was able to have a lot of fun at races. I mean, hence the nickname Squirrel. And I made the best of the event, both at the track and off the track. So, being able to go around the world for free and get paid and, have all your expenses paid was amazing. Like I was 16 or 17. I think 17 when I started getting paid, and for me, that was, there was 7 people at the time ever in the history of RC to get paid. And I was one of them. So like, to me, it was amazing time, and you're young and $500 a month goes a long way when you're young. It paid my gas and my car payment. I was stoked.
That was your starting salary when you were.
That was it. But
that was from one manufacturer, correct?
That was associated, yeah. And then
because often the paid drivers get made. They have a speed control paycheck. They have a motor or a chassis paycheck, right. A tire paycheck, yeah. Yeah,
and it snowballed, over the years from there for sure. But right. That I thought it was great. Today, I don't see anybody having that much fun.
Not compared to back in the day.
It's just my outside looking in thing, right? And I think here's the big thing. I always say people today did not, or people back then had to go to the track to see Mike Reedy, to see Mark Pivot, to see all the guys race, right? You could not get close to somebody through a computer or phone, I mean, not really through phone, right? That's not fun unless you went to the track. And to me, that was amazing to see people standing around watching events and cheering people on. And I don't know how many signatures I gave out because am I ever going to see that guy again type thing? You went to a place overseas or domestically that you might not go back to, and people were ecstatic about that. And I think that was a lot of fun. I mean, that you felt like, a little bit of a rock star. It was a little embarrassing too. Like, I just race RC cars, but at the same time, it was like, people were so excited to see you, and Mike Reedy, you talk about people around the pits. I mean, it was an art form to turn a motor, right, and prep that thing for an event and dyno it. And so you would see 20, 30 guys standing around Mike Reedy, and it was 30 minutes. They didn't stay for a minute and leave. The attention span was longer than MTV, commercials, so it was pretty, I don't know. I felt like the time that we got to, that I got to be a part of that was pretty amazing. But, somebody else that was older than me, maybe like a Sean Ireland, he's kind of the 80s boy.
Whoa.
I'm more of a 90s boy. He might say 80s was better. I don't know.
This is a Saturday Night Live thing. Everyone thinks their era was the best.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like seeing the pioneers behind the product or whatever it is, and those guys were there. And I think that's what made the rivalries really special and the racing really special.
So what you're saying now is racing kind of sucks, everybody's lame, and it's boring as hell?
I think to the people today, they don't see that, right? They weren't there, so you don't know, right?
Okay.
It's like comparing Michael Jordan to LeBron James or Wilt Chamberlain to Michael Jordan. They were all amazing in their era, and they would be that same way today because they would learn differently today than they would have learned back then. I mean,
that was the topic a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I know. Yep.
Yeah. I'm glad you agree with me, buddy.
More ears.
Yeah,
no, I believe that, and
yeah, so,
so I think today, that is unfortunately what's missing, if I'm honest, is that, those pioneers not being right there at your fingertips,
I wonder how well known today's top guys are compared to the top guys of yesteryear, because back in the 80s and 90s, even if you were just Joe, fun driver, you weren't actually racing, you certainly knew who Brian Kimball was because you saw him standing next to a giant printing motor in magazines, and you knew Scott. You knew everybody because you couldn't avoid it because all the RC world was consolidated each month. And now if you're not into racing and not seeking out racing information, it's very easy to just not see it because you're not in that Facebook group. It's not something you follow. All that stuff can be a very secret world.
Yeah. Oh, and when you go to the track, you're like, oh yeah, I already saw Ryan Mayfield. I already know. I've watched an hour of him on internet. Not special. Or not saying he's not special. It's just not special to see him, But yeah, it's I don't know.
What was
so I want to tell a quick story that I have a memory with you, Scott. Many memories with you, Scott. But one of the worlds I approached you when I was with Extreme and covering the race. It might have even been 08 or something in North Carolina. Oh, that would have been, you would have been there with me, Derek. Anyway, whatever. I think it was a Worlds event.
The one we got kicked out of?
We did get kicked out of there. Yeah. Anyway, that's another story. It was a big race. It was either a Nationals or a Worlds. And I was talking to Scott, and I don't even remember the whole story, but I asked you, how's your setup going, or how, what are you doing? What are you working on? And you said to me, I don't work on setup for the whole first day or two of practice. The only time I work on setup is if the car doesn't work. Otherwise, I just drive it. I put it on the track. I maximize my track time. If the car sucks, yeah, I'll make a few changes. But otherwise, I leave it and just drive and drive and drive. And that conversation, again, I don't even remember. I paraphrased a bunch of that, but that really stuck with me about your thoughts on how good the cars were currently and how much track time, especially when you're traveling and you're going to a new track, how much of a difference that made in the outcome of the event. That particular conversation really stuck.
Yeah, I was a firm believer in not messing with your car. And not because I was lazy, not because I don't know setup and don't know how to tune a car. It's just I got so used to driving my car on every surface that I would just drive.
Right.
I'd always tell guys, just drive it.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree. I'm with you wholeheartedly on that advice.
I think that's an old school mentality, and not the bad one, is that you just drove the car and you adjusted to the car. Now everybody said, I got to change my ride height half a millimeter and change my camber, C hair, and all this stuff to try to make the car somehow video game quality, because I make fun of Jeff that one time he drove a car that pushed and he drove straight into the
I can't drive a car
into the boards. I'm like, don't you let up early?
No.
Nope, you just turn like
if the car doesn't steer, then it's going to hit the wall. I'm going to go back to the pits and make it steer for next time.
Yeah,
I'm not changing my driving.
But Jeff sucks at driving, so that's just not.
Right.
He is amazing at mini Z and 12 scale carpet apparently.
Well, I guess I speak more to the average guy, right? The guy that's an expert driver, the guy that's a sportsman driver. You're changing your little nano of a nano is not going to make a difference in the outcome of your event.
Of course not.
Especially
as good as the cars are these days.
Yeah, I don't know. Guys were changing their setups all the time when in 8 scale and 10 scale when I was racing. It happened all the time. Yeah, the setups weren't, or the tuning wasn't kind of infinite in a way as it is today, right? I mean, you could probably spend 2 weeks on just your front rear wing, but just like the basketball example, there was still guys that tuned all the time. Brian Kinwald. I mean, that guy was always doing something different, but he liked to explore. I didn't. I did a little bit of that, but for the most part, I drive it.
Well, you got to remember also back in the day, not so much nitro, but electric. I mean, you're at the track to run 16 minutes track time. So how much tuning can you really do? You know what I mean? Like the track's different every time, and you can't really see what's happening. You just got to be like, this is what's going to kind of work. And I got 16 minutes to figure it out, and 10 hours of sitting with my thumb in my butt. And maybe that's why people had more fun, is that you didn't really have to be at the track that much. I mean, the Snowbirds was 24 hours a day, and IIC. Remember when I raced there, I had between my qualifiers was 9 hours.
That's ridiculous.
That's enough time to get in trouble. I didn't, we never showed up to the mains because you qualified in 3 days apart.
And even if you have track time, arguably, unless your car is like just a train wreck handling wise, you're much better off using the time learning the track and getting used to where the corners are and the lines are than trying to get an extra 3% out of your car.
And the cars are never train wrecks anymore. You rarely have a train wreck car. Like even a bad car is still very drivable these days. They're so mature. We talked about this in past shows.
I remember Jack Johnson, to go way back, saying like, I'd rather know the track 100% and have the car be 80% than vice versa.
Sure.
Yeah, I was just going to say something like that, Pete. Like Jack Johnson was one of my teammates actually when I was on Associated. He was on Losi. We had a team event in Vegas because no one showed up. So one Associated guy, one Losi guy paired up, and we did a little weekend 3-day long race like that. It was kind of fun. Anyway, I agree, Pete. Like 100%. Like if you can't go consistent around the track with your crap car, you're not going to be able to go consistent around the track with your good car. Like because you have to know the lines, right? If your car is crap, then you should still be able to go consistent around the track for the most part. Obviously you're donkey flipping over a jump every time because of the way the jump's designed or something. That's different. But I did a clinic one time, and a guy said, "Hey, I want to run A-scale with you." He goes, "I want to spend the day with you. How much you charge me?" So I said, "All right, let's do it." So I wrote up a little program, and we got together at Thunder Alley. And we didn't do much setup. We did a little setup to his car. Linkage was a big thing. Brake, throttle, brake bias. That was a huge, in A scale, that was a huge thing that guys always get wrong even today. But by the end of it, I said, look, I went out and put X's on the track. Here's the X's. This is where you need to hit your marks. You hit these marks, that's good for a half a second. Like every time. Drive the same you're driving, just hit these marks. And I said, do it consistent. He knocked off 1.2 seconds a lap at the end of the day. And he's like, I want more. Let's keep doing it. And we didn't change, we didn't change shock oil. We didn't change his camber. We didn't do any of that stuff. We just learned the track and learned lines. And that's 95% of it, I mean, given you're not going to go out there with a, whatever car that's, a $200 RTR and think you're going to do something with it, but you should still be able to be consistent regardless.
Right.
Jeff's written a bunch of articles about basically one of the smartest things to do is watch the good drivers and see what they're doing, but also record what you're doing. Especially now you can record everything, so you can see where you're sucking.
The number of times I would go home after a race and watch the video and think to myself, if I had known that mistake I was making at the track, I could have fixed it at the track.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's always good to have someone that knows what they're looking at. Because my example would be Richard Saxon when it was a jump in the corners, like a finger jump, and I would try to double it to the outside. And he's like, dude, you're jumping 30 feet farther than you need to go. Come square up this way and jump it the short way. And I was like, oh, geez, it's like nothing you think about. But as soon as someone said that, you're like, oh, I'm an idiot. Let's try to go the long jump, Sometimes it's just someone telling you, hey, we got to go, take this route shorter here, slower here. That's a big thing that I think a lot of people screw up on is, sometimes going a little slower in a section is going to be faster for you. Sure. Then you can get out faster. And good tires help. What was the best memory you have in RC, racing wise?
Say my snoring when you were in my hotel room.
Not your snoring. Not your, I don't know, man. That's not if you just drill down to one, that's tough. But the world championships in A scale, I kind of blew out and got second, but it was a really memorable moment for me. It was good. I'm still I don't know, second in the world isn't too shabby.
Most of us, when we say we blew out in a race, that doesn't mean we got second in the world.
Yeah. But
I totally effed up. I'm only number 2 in the world. I blew it. One memory stands out is, I'm going to give you 2. Sorry, I can't narrow it down to 1. I hate it when people do that.
Sorry.
But one was, I started racing at Ranch Pit Shop in 1989, and 3-minute races when I started, and I could barely make 3 minutes with my Panda 15-minute timer charger, right?
Nice.
And so there was a guy there named Cliff Montgomery. He was a local expert driver that could make mains even with, let's call it pros back then. They weren't getting paid back then, but and my goal was to beat him. And I told him one time, I said, my goal is to beat you. I said, you're so fast. I said, I want to beat you. 30 days later, after my first time racing, I beat him. And that was a huge memorable moment. And he congratulated me. He's like, dude, good job, man. That was awesome. And I don't know, I still remember that memory.
Did you get a new charger? Is that why?
Oh, we had my
20-minute charger.
By then, so the funny thing about that was 2 weeks later, they said, oh yeah, we're going to 4-minute races. And we had already got a Tekin charger. My dad had got a Tekin charger, the BC 120L. I don't remember the name of it.
The orange one, right?
They're different colors, various colors.
Yeah, whatever. And so, yeah, we got 4 minutes, but that was one. And my second big event with Associated at Winter Champs. I was running 2 mod and last qualifier of the day, and I ran and I came off the track and I TQ'd, and Mike Reedy came up to me and he goes, you were on it from the get-go. Lap 1, you were on it. Now there was only 1.3 seconds between the top 10. 1.3 seconds. 1.7. It was less than 2 seconds. In fact, I found the results somewhere at one time. Talk about close racing, right?
Mm.
But Mike Reedy was always very encouraging and just a huge mentor for me. And so I have a lot of fond memories of Mike and I and Mark and being together, which was, like I said, what made that time in racing so much fun.
I got we're gonna do something because we forgot to mention. Scott, pick a number between 1 and 50.
We'll go 22.
All right, Jeff, remember this 22 because today's show we have a very special sponsor. This is Jeff's big moment here.
Well, we're gonna do 2 winners. We're gonna give out 2 prizes. So I think we should do one on YouTube comments and one on Facebook comments.
Pete will now only say Babble the rest of the time.
Poor Pete. Yeah, we're giving away two $50 Triple X Main prizes. One from there's Rob Wheeler. Hi, Rob. One from YouTube and one from Facebook. And if you're the winner, we'll contact you and you can just email me what you want. You have to include. You can take anything you want from Triple X Main, $50 each prize, but you have to include one of our new camo masks.
Yeah, well, you just ruined my whole thing about you were only going to get $50 worth of camo masks.
Oh, that's fine too. I'm fine with that. It's such a good mask. It's such a good mask. You'll want to use it 10 times.
14 years in the making.
2 years in the making. Yeah, you don't have to take a camo mask. You can take whatever you want. $50 is a lot of stickers. I would imagine you'll be able to load up. So yeah, make comments in both YouTube and George in both YouTube and Facebook, and I guess Scott's already taken 22. Is that for YouTube or Facebook? The 22, or we're gonna do 24? Yeah, that's fine. Good. All right. Well, now they can count it out though. Anyways, it's fine.
True story.
Like if there's only 19 comments,
but hey, if you're smart enough to get 22, because everyone might do it at the same time. You know what I mean? Like somebody got to start.
That's fine. All right, triplexmain.com, xxxmain.com. This is my last show, so I want to get that out there. Make sure everyone gets it.
Speaking of like stuff, where's your hat?
It's downstairs. Like I'll wear it next week. I put it on the other day. I might have had a few drinks. I put it on the other day, and I'm like, this looks like this doesn't fit right. And like 2 days later, I found a piece of cardboard that holds the shape of it.
It's probably one in your hat right now, by the way.
No, this is good.
Oh, you got it out?
Yeah, I got it out.
Was it egg shaped by the time you took it out, or what?
Yeah, I don't even remember. I just remember feeling stupid. I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. What is this? Yeah.
All right, well, we're gonna skip, and Scott's gonna be a part of our just random babble of topics here. So one of the things we're gonna just fool around with is re-releases, and this is kind of happens in kind of every industry. Are they stupid or awesome?
They're awesome.
That's not a one-word answer. Thank you. I mean,
yeah, I'm out. See you guys.
This isn't a quiz show. Like top 4 answers on the board: stupid or awesome. Stupid, number 1 answer.
Let me just say right now that if I happen to have a fleet of original Tamiya and Kyosho classic cars on my wall that were worth a lot of money and now they're worth less because there's re-releases, I would not care at all. That would not bother me in the least.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that 100%.
Anyone who's like, God, they killed the value. I don't care. Too bad.
But anyone that cares about an original still cares about an original. And anyone that didn't care about an original wouldn't have spent that money anyways on an original. So I'm with Pete on this one. I don't think I'm sure it did, if you do the economics of it, knock the price down of the original.
If anything, I'd be super pumped. Like, wow, now like I don't have to just cherish this Ultima as a piece of like a Fabergé egg. I can get a re-release and pound on it. And or parts my old Scorpion or Tamiya car, whatever it is. So nothing but upshot for me with re-releases.
So I can speak to that because I am actually angry because 8 years ago, 10 maybe even 10 years ago, my second car was a bigwig. My Striker was my first, the second worst car, and then the bigwig was my second. And I sourced a in the box original bigwig from the 80s and paid a lot of money for it and built it, opened it up and built it. Not to run it, I just wanted to build it. And then I was very frustrated when the re-release came out, not because everyone else would get one, but because I would have bought the re-release and built it and kept the original in the box, but I didn't know a bigwig was coming. So there are some frustrating moments in the re-release that people can experience, that I did myself. But otherwise, let everyone play with their
But you
9-year-old.
don't think the re-release shouldn't exist for that reason.
So
And
I
some of
didn't
the
hear
cars are, but you're not saying re-releases shouldn't exist because
no. Even though I feel yucky about building the original and now having a re-release still in the box. No, I'm a huge supporter of it. Listen, I work at a hobby shop, as we know. When it comes to Tamiya, that's almost all we sell. The odd on-road car from Tamiya, but re-releases are king right now. Listen, there's all of us 40 and 50-year-olds who had a great time when we were 9, and we want to relive it. This is great for the industry, great for us, great for everyone. No,
would you buy a Striker re-release?
I would be happy if they're not going to re-release the Striker, but I'd be happy.
Jeff, if you sell 10 re-released Tamiyas, how many of those, if any, go to someone who's just buying it because they think it's a cool car and it's not about having one back in the day or knowing what it stood for back then?
We will often talk people out of buying a re-release just because it's a cool car. Like if you don't have a connection to it, like for example, the oval block from Tamiya, they don't sell the tire. You can't buy replacement tires for the Big Wig, the Boomerang, the Hot Shot, all that. It seems that they're releasing them for people to build them for their memories and put them on the shelf, drive them once a year, put a battery through it once a year. So they're not good basher vehicles. They're not nearly what a Rustler is. They're more money than a Rustler. They're slower and more, they break more easily in parts of it. They're not daily drivers. If you don't have a connection to the vintage component of that vehicle, then there's way better vehicles you can get. So that's not really an issue. Most people that buy them are reliving.
The problem to me too with re-releases is that they're like more expensive than they were in 1980.
Not if you do the time value of money. They're not. They're actually about half price, because a $300 Bigwig in the 80s is like $700, would be $700 now, and they're $350. So the actual number is higher, but given a 2.5% inflation rate and compounding, they're quite a bit less expensive now.
Yeah, can you send me the spreadsheet?
I'll send you a spreadsheet. I just wrote it right now as we were talking.
Also, something with electronic speed controls, and in the case of Kyosho, their re-release models, I don't know about all of them, but the more significant ones, they've actually been completely retooled. They look just like the original, but all the tooling is new. And
I have mixed feelings on some of
the
that.
Optima, was it Optima? The one that came with the chain?
Optima, they changed a lot.
Yeah.
I remember correctly, like went to 2.2 rims and whatnot.
Stuff to make it not break and suck. I mean, let's be real. There a lot of stuff in the past that we want was terrible. Like you want a Blackfoot with the axles made of pencil tips.
Yeah, well, they had hex drives that would strip. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, made of pencil.
Yeah. I like the re-releases. I think
you don't.
I know I do.
Oh, okay.
I think our industry is shrinking, obviously, and the main players are the people that have been in it for a while, it seems like. So let's cater to those folks. And it drives interest and sparks interest.
And it doesn't take away. You're not going to buy a race car because you bought a vintage. It's an add-on to the industry. It's not a replacement. Do I get a B6.2 or do I buy a Bigwig? No, it's not. That's not the conversation.
What car do you want Resurrected brought back? That was my CPR.
Either because you could be a big seller or because you want one personally. Which car would you bring back?
Well, you could do A and B. If your personal one or one you think that would sell.
Who wants to go? I got 3, but if someone wants to go.
I got Tamiya Rough Rider. They've come close, but not the exact Rough Rider. That was my first RC car ever when I was 6 or 7 or something.
What do they call the Rough Rider re-release?
Is it Sand Scorcher or?
No, Sand Scorcher is the VW Bug.
That's right.
The Rough Rider was on the trailing arms?
Yeah.
They call them the same chassis. One's the VW Beetle, that's the Sand Scorcher. And the Rough Rider, they changed the name for the re-release. I can't remember what they called it.
Right. Yeah, neither can I. Yeah, because I was hoping I could get I want to try and get an original at some point, but good luck with that, right?
No, you'll find one. You just better have some bucks. Everything's available.
I did buy an original. I bought an original the other day, actually. Brand new in the package. Not one of those, something else. Maybe I should go grab it. Should I go grab it?
Go
grab it.
Go run.
Go grab it. All right, what do you got, Pete? Or did you already say? Who didn't say?
I didn't say.
No, I didn't say, but I would love to have a Traxxas TRX1 and a TCP
The TRX one I would like.
Yeah, they make it. Kyosho has the Ultima, but I'd love to have an Ultima and an Ultima 2, the Kelron chassis car that came later.
Hey, you gotta go, buddy. All right.
And from Kyosho, their Scale Series F1s. I'd love to have one of those again.
I like the TRX1 idea, Peter.
Yeah, so do I.
That's cool.
I see what you brought. There's Scott got his box art going here.
Yeah.
Which one was that? Which one is that one?
It's T3. Sorry,
T3.
the factory team T3, or not factory team. Yeah, factory team.
That was new in the box.
So it's new, sealed. I mean, there's not a dent on it, and then there's. Where am I at here?
Going back to what we talked about, how the drivers were more known back then because they used to plaster them all over the cars. Barry Baker had his Nitro TC3 version, and then there was the all sorts. Matt Francis version of the Triple X, the Adam Drake Triple X NT. They used to market the drivers, and I mean, Kinwald was all over everything. They used to market the drivers a lot different back then, I think, as well. Not that, I mean, they still do that a little bit now, but it's not to the same degree.
Well, it's all through social media, right? I mean,
that's right. Yeah, different. Yeah.
It's.
I mean, a little off topic, but I remember, I think 03 or whatever at the Chicago Trade Show where everyone went to the Associated booth at 3:00 on Saturday so they could pull a towel off the Nitro TC3 release. Like, you don't do that anymore with the internet.
Right.
There's none of that hype anymore. It's all. Yeah, it's changed in a number of ways, right?
Yeah.
Well, nowadays we get teasers, which I think are pretty lame usually, but.
Yeah, I mean, what else are they going to do? Right.
Scott, were you on Team Associated when they went from the B2 to the B3? The B2 that was out for 10 minutes. Remember that?
Yeah.
The worst car. I often say this. It was the worst car I've ever owned. Was the B2. I sold it in 7 days.
Why?
Because that was a car released because it only worked. The setup out of the box was SoCal or something like that, and it didn't work anywhere, and it was terrible. And it was literally out. I think the shortest production run of a car for Associated. I think. I don't know if that's true. I'm making most of the stuff I say up, but I think that's pretty accurate. If you take what I said true, because it was. I don't think it lasted a year.
I should know how long, but I can't remember. I mean, we were so excited to get a new car. Are you kidding me? We're running a car that was like 11 years old.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I loved it.
You know, but we just I don't remember. Talk to Rona, man. He's like the human encyclopedia to RC or timeline.
He's your answer for Resurrection.
Who did? You didn't give yours. What do you got?
I'm gonna go with something like more modern because I think it's actually outdated now. I'm gonna go with like a gas truck, like a RC10 GT or a Triple X NT, because that was really a super fun class, and I can't believe short course bodies didn't get adapted to that, where it would have been nitro and short course that worked without 4-wheel drive. Because
that would be. Have you ever driven? It's terrible. A 2-wheel drive.
It's terrible.
4-course truck.
Yeah, Associated released one. It was great. We had tires that work now. Come on.
2-wheel drive nitro is not a fun class for the.
I'm into GT. No, now RC10 GT.
It's easy to drive. Come on.
GT. I got to circle.
Not that I remember. You had to be very delicate with your finger on those, which sucks to drive that way.
Huge finesse. Huge finesse.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah.
Is a ton of.
I'm going to take Scott on this one than you, Derek.
It's huge finesse to drive a GT because you're running on A-scale tracks. I mean,
before A-scale came out, we ran it on electric tracks.
No, every 8-scale nitro race had. This is when Tebow was winning most of his races when he was 13.
Right. But it started on electric tracks.
Had 10-scale 2-wheel truck. I was talking over you. What? Say again.
You're always talking over me. But
yeah, that's what I do. Yeah.
Which you're paid. Checks in the mail. I still think for me, I like gas truck. I think gas truck was fun. I don't think it's hard to drive as you're making out. They got really good. I mean, the GT2 was very easy to drive. They put a push into the dumb things. They're easy to drive.
You're not handfulling anywhere. You're rolling your finger on. Just like Scott
sorry, you need to go full throttle.
That's a boring drive. That's a boring drive when you've got an 8-scale buggy right next to you.
I like your idea, Derek, of GT re-release. Not a converted short course, but a GT re-release And we just Tebow did a nice little I don't know, however long video on his RC10 GT days, and he had all his trucks there and everything on Facebook Live. And right after that, somebody emailed Lunsford. We used to make these aluminum. You could adapt the OS carb to any 12 engine. So I didn't even know I didn't know Lunsford did that back in the day because I only ran OS.
Yeah, you didn't have to adapt anything.
Right.
And immediately we sold like 20 of those things because I put them up on the website.
There we go. We got a class. It's
So
ready to
now
go.
we got 20 people. We got 20 people that want to run GT. Done. The world's going to explode.
I just saw Rhonda and Adam build their Mugen trucks again too, so that's also what sparked it up. But I don't want my Falcon back because I don't really think that was a good car to re-release, even though that was my first car. Kyosho Big Brute, I do like that. I got run over by a tractor. A weird story.
It wasn't very big then, was it?
It was a big tractor, and the tractor was going 6 miles an hour, but that crushed it right in the middle. It was a slow motion wreck. It was pretty cool. Back in the days when you just run in the street, when you lived on a farm, that's what happened. And I raced an Ultima. I don't really have that love for the Ultima, but it was in the weird times where we raced with weird bodies on it too.
But they have Ultima. They have an Ultima.
I know.
Oh, okay.
Just saying I don't really want it. Nothing. That's it. I don't know. What else? I can't think of something that wasn't made. Big Brute was cool when that came out.
I would like an Optima Mid, both for personal reasons, and I think that would be a good seller. I would like a Yokomo YC10, the original, like the 870C, either the Associated American release or the Japanese with the alien body, the Super Dog Fighter.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm on the fence. I guess I want an MIP 410 Legend four-wheel drive conversion. I mean, I have one. They're super rare. So going back to what we talked about earlier, I guess I'd be kicking myself in the junk a bit, but not really. I would like a brand new one.
Was that a kit or that was a conversion, right?
It was a conversion, yeah. And they're like gold right now. Like, what's that, Scott?
We have one at Lunsford.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, they're like one of the holy grails of the vintage world. I have one that's missing one part that I'll never find. I'm gonna have to get it 3D printed. So that would be a fun re-release. I think.
By the way, weren't you working on an article for our magazine for that for like the past 5 years?
I think I did a 2-part article, and then
how to clean it and how to
always
not
does.
clean it.
Yeah, we go. Yeah, you made fun of me because it was just another cleaning article.
Yeah, I know you're busy. The camo pattern literally
took a lot
took
of time.
A
lot of time, a lot of development in that. Yeah.
Remember, you guys.
Derek, I wrote down my articles, by the way. So
thank you. You get 50. You get.
You're the only guy on the team that's working on his articles.
Yeah.
You're getting $50 worth of camo stickers today.
Whoever wins, I'm just gonna I'll send them 2 envelopes, what they ordered and one of all camo masks, and I'll send the camo mask first so they actually think that's what it is.
Camo mask. Look up the camo mask. It's inspirational.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful paint mask. I know we talk about it every week. I'm happy to talk about it. XXXpaint.com, camouflage paint mask.
Right. And to be clear, you get $50 worth of stuff from Jeff. This isn't that other promo where you send him $50 and you get nudes. It's a different thing.
Yeah, right. Yes, that's true.
Oh,
Scott's out.
I love that. Scott and Ben, I'm just gonna leave.
Yeah, Ben would just walk around and lighting.
Look, my wife's not here. The kids are here. The dog. I'm just, I'm trying to play dad and everything else.
Scott, real quick. Back in your RC10 racing days, original RC10 Tough Car.
Yeah.
Would you get a massaged car and go from there, or did you have to do all the stuff that you had to do in an RC10 yourself?
Oh no, I did everything.
Yeah, of course, right.
No, I mean sand down the arms and drill and tap for set screws for the hinge pins. Make a thong out of the rear end.
Are you talking about massages and thongs? What's going on here?
Yeah.
So what's on my iPad?
And then I know everything.
How long would it take you to build a race car then? RC10 days. You get a new car in a box, and then.
So you you would start building your car 3 weeks before, like Winter Champs or whatever, whenever you needed a new vehicle. It would take you a while. I mean, you're not working on it constantly, but you're talking, I bet you 20, 30 hours in a car.
Love you, man.
I'm guessing.
Now, I would imagine. Tell me this:
I
did you ever transfer some parts from your last car that took a lot of work and didn't wear out?
No,
you would start from scratch
never.
each time, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
you just mount it, do new stuff, but it was a little bit of an art form, right? I mean, you're shimming everything, you're boiling parts sometimes, and
Was it a fresh car that worked the best, or did you have to run in?
I would run fresh. Most guys would run fresh. You
fresh car built right. You can't a fresh car that needs breaking in wasn't built properly. You're supposed you said shimming and filing. You build a fresh car so it's tight and free.
Yeah, no, a lot of guys would just go and I'd run a new car. The first time on the track would be at the event. Maybe on occasion I go to the track a day before we left or something and run it. But I think it was today is a little different. That's that type of work to a vehicle. I mean, people complain. I mean, there's certain brands that get the term Harbor Freight that are race brands, and I've built some of the newer cars and they're pretty crappy, but nowhere near what original.
Some are also really good though.
No, there's some amazing cars, but
yeah, some go together. You don't even need a file or a knife. They just yeah.
But
are we talking A scale or what are we talking?
I'm thinking 10 scale. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Damn, pretty strong call out.
I don't want to put myself in a position like Pete with Traxxas, but with me and Associated, but I built my last few Associated cars. Sorry, Pete, I got to keep this going.
He took that on the chin, man. He took that on the chin. Come on. We love you, Pete.
We do love you, Pete. Anyway, the last few Associated cars I built, like you had to do very little. That the arms would drop, the suspension would drop by its own weight with very tiny, like almost no work or no work at all. It was some new cars that were brilliant, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, by the time I was racing, double X's and stuff, even cars then, you just built them by the manual and you had a great car. Maybe not ready to win the world to the nth degree, but it wasn't like, man, I got to the track, my car doesn't work at all. I really need to polish on this thing. You build the manual and the car would go around the track just fine. I'd have people like, oh man, what's your setup? I'm like, whatever the box said. Like I just built it, and would run fine. The 10T was like that. All those cars from that. Once you get past the first generation 80s cars to like the second and thirds, they were all good cars. Yeah. Didn't need a ton of work.
Well, you had 11 years on that gold platform. You learned a little bit of something, right? And yeah, but it was an art form and it was fun. I enjoyed it. I sanded every screw head on my car to get it to fit the chassis right, and then I'd fine sand it and then polish them, every single screw on my car on the bottom.
Yeah.
And like that took, I don't know, 2 hours, 3 hours just to do that.
Yeah.
Just doing it by hand on my little desk in my room, just sandpaper,
So there's a component to this as well that actually we had a conversation about the past and present with the speed of the drivers. You could have the same argument about brushed motors. When I was doing stock racing in oval, if you cracked a code on your brush motor, a stock brush motor, you're not cheating, but if you can find a method, you had an advantage over everyone else. Same with what Scott's referencing. If you built a car better, you had an advantage. In this day and age, you don't have those sorts of advantages. Everyone's on an equaler playing field. So you lose I'm going to spend 3 hours polishing my screw advantage. That was maybe a bad example, but if you crack a code to make yourself go faster, that's not really a thing anymore. All the cars are so good, there's no more codes to really crack, and you lose whatever advantage you could have had by being.
I think in stock racing, there's still a lot of voodoo in the motors. And
you ain't pulling your brushless motor apart and cutting the column a certain way and breaking in the bushings and doing a soak where you take the oil out of the bushing so it's freer running and doing the brush. You don't have nearly the variables that we used to have. I mean, Scott speaking to it just in chassis build. You don't have nearly if you build a brand new kit these days, you could want to do special things all the way through the build. There's just not enough special things to do to get the cars are mature again. They're good out of the box. So you lose whatever 1/10 of a second that Scott might have gained by doing all that work in this day, I would say.
Yeah, a lot of it was weight. The car was way overbuilt, right? The arms are way too thick. The chassis is way too tall. Aluminum's too thick.
And now they're all underweight. You have to put the weight back on anyways. So
yeah. So now, back then we're trying to get our cars lighter and, to get everything freer and just, less unsprung weight and all that good stuff. So
sure.
Yeah, now we're soaking tires in your underwear drawer and charging at 700 amps and discharging at 1,000.
But that goes to show you what stupid it's gotten. You're right.
It just there's a trick because that charging makes a big difference in stock. I mean, sorry, but it does.
Which is why stock sucks. That should be a future talk.
We should make a hat. Stock sucks. So that forever.
I hear it, and I'm not even at the track. That stock is it's so expensive between motors and batteries. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Do they even pretend that stock is for beginners anymore? Is that even something they even attempt to justify? It's like, oh, the idea is that it's less power. I mean, do they even try to say that?
I don't think so. No.
Just run your stock motor and mod.
Well, the lap times are often similar, right? But it's different.
Tracks aren't big enough.
The guy that's running stock, the guy that's running stock is no different than back then. You put him in mod, he's going to run faster with his stock motor and mod than his mod motor and mod.
Yeah, of course.
It's just he's more consistent. Maybe not. No, his fast lap might be faster, but consistency.
Right.
But when you're side by side with a stock motor and a mod motor, the mod motor still has aggressive advantages in different areas. I mean, I'm speaking to someone who's way faster than me, but there are if you're just doing a hot lap or just doing a 5-minute run, then stock is almost as faster than mod. But if I'm going into coming out of a turn with a stock motor and there's an aggressive mod behind me, he's going to have a slight advantage to
he does
more pressure on him.
Mod doesn't mean run the lowest turn motor. It means you get to run whatever you want. It's open.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah.
People lose it. It's like I'm going to put the fastest thing on there and I can't drive it.
Well, I had an 8.5 in my carpet off-road car. It's not like I couldn't put a 7.5 or a 6.5 in.
Wait, did you say carpet off-road?
Yeah, I know. Get angry, and then I'll finish this. The point of mod is it's not a money game. You don't have to buy a new $400 17.5 every 3 weeks because a new trick came out. My 8.5 was not too fast, but was plenty fast. And if I wanted to go faster, I'd buy an $80 7.5. There's no battle. There's no money battle. There's none of that stuff in mod. Stock is stupid.
What is the point of stock racing?
What's the point?
Yeah.
Is that what you asked? Well, originally it was supposed to be to keep it equal and for cost control, but it does the exact opposite.
What's the point of racing it now?
Well, there are arguments that mod is too fast. So if in certain classes, especially touring car, if you only had open and everyone's running ballistic motors, it's scary for the new guy because they're going so fast, and when you crash, the car blows up. My argument's always been slow the frick down until you're ready to drive it. But I can't appreciate that there is some components of mod that is intimidating to everyone else. But open classes are way less money to run, way less. It's not a money game. It's you put a fast motor in and you learn to drive and you learn to set up. That's it.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that very consistently.
Serious question. This is breaking news. Scott, would you allow reverse in racing?
No, he's going to say no.
What?
Would you allow reverse in racing?
No.
Yeah, of course not.
There's no form of racing where they throw it in. I don't know if there's any form of racing where they throw it in.
I watched the Formula One re-race track. He missed the chicane and backed up into traffic. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Anyway, Scott's right.
You know what?
I don't know what I think what.
Derek cut him off. Derek kicked him out of the room.
What did you say?
Agree with me.
What did you say? It shuffled us.
If you're reversing on the track, your race is over anyway. So, you might as well not reverse. So
that's actually a good point. We didn't even bring that up in the conversation.
Get rid of it. It's no different than turn marshaling.
So why? Okay, then crashing out. Then that's better than not having reverse.
We are in a unique form of racing where you get a second chance. When you crash in racing, your race is supposed to be over. We're in a unique form of racing where you get a fat guy to flip you around and you get another go at it. Embrace that. We don't need to start adding more and more rules to let the loser the crash.
The rule is you can't use reverse. It's open.
We don't need to change that rule.
Go backwards.
Right. Anyways, thank you, Scott. I appreciate your answer.
So here's the thing, right? There's rarely a novice class these days, right? You show up and run stock or whatever, 17.5, whatever it is, right? 23.5, whatever it is.
Whatever.
So now you've got a person that's never driven an RC car throwing it in reverse all the time. That just sounds fun. That sounds fun for the guys.
I'm not even talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking in situations where you were crashed and you waited for this fat guy who could barely hustle across the track, caused an accident to flip your dumb car over when it could have just freaking went into reverse and got out of the situation.
And hit the guy that didn't crash.
But you're
always crashing in reverse. Why do you got to crash in reverse? Just back up straight.
I think the assumption is you're going to be able to even use reverse. And most of the time in situations, you're not going to be able to use reverse regardless.
Yeah.
By the way, this will be an argument for every show.
So you're suggesting
Ask every pro driver that comes on the same question.
You're suggesting that A scales then adopt reverse? Is that what you're saying?
A scale what? Electric? Yes. Nitro, obviously you can't. You don't have you can't jam it into R with a shifter
Put a
or something.
tranny in it, yeah. Right.
But
Well,
electric, 100%.
What feeds your brain?
Yeah, thank you. Hey, listen, I don't want to be that guy, but it's 9:36. What is this?
I got to go too. I'm 10 minutes
Yeah.
late for a dad meeting and another Zoom meeting. So
Yeah,
Jeff, real quick.
Wrap this crap up.
Jeff, do you think it would ever be popular if there was a powered powered model car racing mode where the driver didn't do anything, the cars just drove themselves?
that would be amazing.
I said that would last week. I said that would be. Oh right, okay. Yeah. Right there. Yeah, there's your freaking gyro right there. There's your gyro of 2027 right there. That's what RC racing is if you let gyros in.
Hey, I'm always going to win this on the exit because Jeff does race in a class that allows reverse. So just remember that when he argues so freaking hard that he can go in reverse in his mini class.
The irony of that situation is true, but I didn't mention at the time.
The classic Dave Chappelle, shut the up.
It has affected outcomes. What an idiot. Oh, are we still here?
Are we